So, ladies and gents, good afternoon and welcome to Visual and Virtual Communication. I know, this is the course. Before we get into all this juiciness, I wanted to give you a very much of a full picture of what the whole semester will look like, what we will be dealing with, and what you need to do in order to fulfill this course in particular. Now, it used to be only me teaching this double course, both visual and virtual communication, in which visual used to be the lecture and virtual used to be the seminar. This time, however, we kind of split this course in half, and Professor Karpati is going to be with you for visual communication as a lecture, and you will be learning much of lecture stuff, so all kinds of theories within visual communication. However, in the second part of it, which is going to be with me, we will be learning practical things about visual communication as well as virtual communication. Within visual communication, we will be focusing on very practical usages of visuality, such as political image making, film rhetoric. We will be analysing Hitchcock, which I think is going to be excellent. We will watch Psycho together. We will be analysing gender within advertisements and how the female and the male body is being used in order to kind of enhance shopping or purchases. We will be focusing on all kinds of cartoons and how they communicate. And maybe if we've got time for it, we will check out sports communication within visuality. I am thinking or planning on making a material for you which is focusing on the last Olympic Games visual campaigns, how they kind of launched it, Sydney and London, and what else did we have? Beijing, for example, and also Rio de Janeiro, which was the last one, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just going to be focusing on all kinds of practical usages of visuality. And within virtual communication, we will take a look, first of all, at robot porn, as you can tell, for today. However, we will also take a look at all kinds of excitement, such as the ethics behind robotics and how robots can be mistreated. If you have watched any kind of recent shows, such as The Westworld or anything on robotics, you might have noticed that this is a very hot topic, that robotization is coming along. Will it be like the usual sci-fi that they will turn against us, and will it kind of destroy the world? Also, what happens if you mistreat a robot? For example, in the Westworld, if you remember, there was a lot of sexual abuse and shooting them and hurting them and harming them. So we will talk about robot ethics as well. We will talk about, besides robotization, but we will have a look. I think I've got a very good material based on, which is dealing with robot football and how they are developing little robots to have the RoboCup. Which is a football cup, and very many developers are dealing with this new field, and it's really exciting. But we will also look at other ways of virtuality as well. So we will focus on augmented reality as well. We will take a look at maybe virtual communication within education. That would be super exciting in my opinion, but I'm not sure yet. We will also take a look at how films, for example, can be, I'm not sure how to say it, but aggressive films, how they can create aggressivity or crime within real life as well. And practically this is what I've planned. It's like a mix of visuality as well as virtuality for this whole semester. And week on week, we will be taking a new topic and talking about it. Just as last year, as you can see, this is going to be streamed onto YouTube. We will have the premiere to be chatting as well. And then we will move into Teams to be talking about anything that we have possibly heard. Within the fulfillment of the course, you will have something very similar that you have already seen. So weekly, we will have seminars together. Attendance is going to be welcome. You will not have an attendance sheet or anything, but I'm very, very happy if you are here with me. And in the end of the semester, in the last 3 courses, we will be having presentations. Your presentations, I think, is going to be, and I know that it's going to be, but I think it would be best to be having it of visual communication, and I would like to kindly ask you, because I've said we will be dealing with film analyses as well, and based on Hitchcock we will analyze the film Psycho as well, and I will recommend or offer you a very, very good analytical structure to use. We will be focusing in the last 3 courses within your presentations on Disney. And I would like to kindly ask you to pick a Disney film or movie, anything that you fancy. So it can be like a cartoon as well, but it can be like real life characters as well. So it can be the Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, and it can be modern or old. It can be Star Wars as well, if I'm not mistaken. That's a Disney production too. So it can be practically anything, and I will offer you a very good analyzing or analysis structure for you, which I'm hoping that, or I would like to kindly ask you to be using for your presentations. And that's going to focus on film language, for example, how the camera is moving and what sort of plans they're using. It's going to be interpretation, how you interpret the scene, ideology as well, whether it's got like some sort of a very deep ideology behind it. It always has, you know, that the good wins over the bad, or family is most important, or love can win above anything, even though the princess only saw the prince once in a lifetime and they haven't even spoken, for example in Snow White. And last but not least, it's going to be identification, which characters are a character of analysis in terms of identifying with them, and practically how you can identify with the good and the bad characters. To majority of Disney films kind of offer you that possibility. So practically in the end of the semester, you will be doing presentations just as last semester, you know, just as in the autumn term. And then in the exam period, unfortunately, because it's not just me now, but put together with Professor Carpati, we cannot have an oral exam, even though I tend to prefer that, and I tend to think that it's easier. But this time, you know, because it's the both of us, we agreed on having a written exam together, which will have a Moodle platform, and it's going to be consisting of an essay in which there might be like 4 questions, 2 of them focusing on Professor Carpati's field and 2 of them focusing on my field, and you will have to just elaborate on those 4 or 5 or 6 questions that we are kind of asking you. You will have, I really don't know it yet, it's going to be written, it's going to be Moodle, you will have an hour, let's say, and you will have to write little essays into it, and then practically this is going to be the focus. I'm not sure if there is anything else I wanted to mention. Probably the fact that, you know, we will have lessons on Monday, and unfortunately 2 Mondays are going to be dropping out. One of them, I've forgotten what one of them is. One of them is the 15th of March, which is national holiday in Hungary, and that falls on a Monday. And another one is going to be on a Monday, or probably Easter Monday, I'm guessing. So unfortunately, we might have a few dates which are going to drop out, and we won't have a lecture or a seminar. But overall, we will have a bunch of super good and cool lessons together, and I'm very, very excited to be showing you what I've got. And without further ado, I think there is not much left then to take a look at what Sex with a Switch and Robot Porn has got for us. It's robot sex, actually, not porn. Let's get started if you're ready. Okay, what can we see in here? Now, ladies and gents, robotization has kind of become really, really important, and we can see that in the past couple of years, so many issues and so many positions, or human positions actually, have been replaced by robotization. For example, the driver of Metro Line 4 is a robot at the moment, if you have travelled with that here in Budapest. Or if you take a look at the big shopping centres, Spar or Tesco's or something, they have already got these. We don't consider them robots because they don't look like robots, but those are robots as well, inherently, that like you can just, you know, it's not a cashier, it's a cashier robot now. So we can see that robotization has been going on really much, and these humanoid robots and these pole dancer robots as well have started to kind of shape, and there are a bunch of humanoid robots actually which are very famous. For example, Sophia, and we will take a look at her soon. She actually was here in Hungary one time on the Brain Bar conference. And she's like a humanoid robot as well, but humanoid robots have become really, really important within sexuality as well. And I'm going to be showing you a bunch of really crazy stuff right now, so I'm hoping you're ready. And sexuality has kind of got distorted into this direction as well. I wanted to share with you how. So there is a computer scientist, her name is Kate Devlin, and she has got a new book which is called Turned On. I'm hoping you feel the pun intended in that like turned on and switched on, you understand. So the book is not just about sex or just about robots, because it talks about human intimacy, how it has changed in the past decades, and how technology has affected that kind of intimate relationship between humans. It talks about computers and psychology as well, and how our psyche has been recently very much distorted or kind of affected by computers, loneliness and companionship, how certain robots will be able to cure loneliness. I'm sure that you have heard about it, or you might have experienced it yourself, that majority of people, when they have got like a very long relationship, marriage, at the age of 70, 80 or something, after like a couple of decades spent together, when they lose a spouse, within half a year, without having any kind of problem with the body or with organs, the other partner dies as well. They say that it's normally like half a year. And majority of people die in loneliness or die because of losing the loved one and just becoming purposeless practically. And that's why companionship, they say, like having a robot afterwards, could kind of cure the depression of these people, or could kind of offer some sort of an alternative, much as it sounds really crazy, but it could offer an alternative as well. And the book also elaborates on law and ethics, as well as privacy and community. So it's just like a very complex book, and I highly recommend reading it. I really did enjoy it. Now, most of all, it's about being human in the world of machines. And nowadays, if you think about it, we are really much robotized everywhere. And we spend, especially now in COVID, we are spending much of our time in a quarantine with electronic devices wherever we turn in our rooms. And so Devlin starts her engaging survey of the history of humanoids. And it's really, really exciting. It was actually really surprising to me that it was starting off with Greek mythology. And she started off with the story of Laodamia, and I'm not sure if you know about her. She commissioned a bronze statue of her husband, Protestilaus, and actually Protestilaus went to the Trojan War and he sacrificed himself and he died. And when she got to know that her husband died, Laodamia actually prepared a bronze, I couldn't find a bronze one on the internet, it's a stone one, but in reality a bronze statue. And she was kind of, holding on to that bronze statue, and she was imagining that it was real. And she also took that bronze statue to bed with herself, whatever that means, And her father Laodamia's father got really angry about it, and he ordered that the statue be burnt, because it seemed in the world of Greek mythology and religion that it was idolatry. When you're worshipping an idol, that was not cool. That's not cool according to Christianity either. So practically, because of avoiding idolatry, this bronze statue got pushed into a fire and burnt, and Laodamia became inconsolable. She was so sad, and she followed her loved one, throwing herself into the fire as well. That's such a light-hearted story by me, starting off with. However, we can see that these kind of non-real but human-like kind of robots or statues, they were big. If you think about Ovid's Pygmalion story as well, it enjoyed a more fallacious fate. It was better. And his sculpture springs to life, and that sculpture kind of becomes alive as well. However, it's not only Ovid's poems and Ovid's stories as well, and not only the Greek mythological kind of issues, but also if you think about Pinocchio, that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was a wooden little boy who became a real little boy, right? So many kind of stories, mythical stories, like fairy tales. They all kind of focus on this some sort of a subject becoming alive, and it deals with that. It has always excited the kind of the fantasy of humans. Now, while these humanoid robots or statues have appeared in Homeric epos's as well, and in his times as well, until the 20th century, it was not that much of an issue. So it was not that big of a topic. And despite advances in animatronics and AI as well, it was a very kind of primitive robot start at the beginning. I wanted to show you Roxy. In 2010, so only like 11 or 12 years ago-ish, Roxy was developed. If you take a look at her, she's like this rubber doll, and I'm not sure if she's scarier or the man behind. Actually, the man behind, much scarier. But Roxy, as you can tell, she was not an AI-based robot. So practically she wouldn't be, like speaking apart from, a certain amount of sentences that was built in her. She wasn't reflexive. She couldn't start a conversation. If you pushed a button on her, she will say, I'm not sure what, because I don't own Roxy, very surprisingly, but she will say something preferably sexy or something. Okay, so Roxy is this rubber doll. Oh god, this is also Roxy. You can order her with very many hairstyles as well, and the man becomes just as creepy as always. Okay, this is also Roxy. As you can see, her face is not super meaningful, or at least to me it doesn't seem like super meaningful, but she serves certain goals and she's good for that. And you can have a redhead one as well, and on top of that she's not drinking your red wine, which is always a plus. So this is what we have at the moment. This is Roxy, and she was very much of a beginner rubber doll who is like not doing much but doesn't disturb much either. Now, Roxy was always called like a 1980s shop sale mannequin with a bad wig. That's what they were calling her. However, this is like a love doll, and it still remains a niche because it's not that expensive. It's retailing between $1,000 to $10,000. $1,000 is like 200 and something thousand forints, so it's not too bad. It's not unreachable, but I mean, you will get that. So it's not that. I'm not sure about your taste, but Roxy is a very beginning kind of a sex doll. $10,000 I probably wouldn't give for Roxy, not even 1,000, but that's okay. So the sex tech market started to become interested in this because it was retailing huge. People were super, super excited about it. And so they started thinking that, like, what if this Roxy, who is just like a normal doll, or like a Barbie doll, just like in a huge huge body, what if they could make it like a real life person? And so they started making those humanoid robots, or producing them, which are kind of getting connected, like they are internet based and they are digital. They will be connected to your search history, and they will be able to start a conversation with you based on your interests and based on your search history, what you were checking out. And so they started to believe that this would be not only like a sex robot, which is like a piece of rubber lying in your bed, but a companion robot as well, who will be asking you questions. Like if you searched the Barcelona match last night, it will be offering you like, how was the match last night? How did you like that? Or something like that. Or you search the weather and she will be like, raining all week, isn't it? So she will be able to start conversations with you based on your interests or based on your search history. Absolutely crazy. Now, these sex dolls already caused much of a trouble. These come from Japan, and they say that 30% of marriages are struggling with this whole robot craze, and divorces occur because of sex robots as well. Because now it's not only that it's especially males ordering female dolls, but it's not only like you go home and you find your husband with this one, Roxy at home, having some red wine on the couch. But now it's like your husband talking to that robot who is not telling him to do the cleaning or take down the trash or to scoop the whatever side of the toilet. It's not telling you instructions. It's just asking. It's interested. It's sexy, and it's a problem once again. Engineers have been working hard trying to build this artificial intelligence robots as well, and they've managed. Not super good, so not like absolutely perfect at the moment, but let me show you after Roxy what Harmony has put to the table. She's been around for a couple of years, like I would say about, I'm not sure exactly, but like 3 to 4 years. Comes from Japan once again. And practically it's a prototype which is coming from the Abyss Creations, and it's programmed to learn from the internet, as I've mentioned, and uses facts about her owner in conversations as well. It's interesting that they call it an owner in the book as well, so that the owner would believe that she really cares. There we have it, ladies and gents. This is Harmony. I'm not sure how big you can tell or how much you can see it in here, but you can always, just type it into Google. So Harmony, you can tell that she's already much more visually appealing. She's much more pornified as well, and she's much more like, this very typical blonde girl, booby, sexy, everything. The gentleman remains super creepy, as usual. And so, oh God, you can find some older gentlemen as well on the side of Harmony as well. But you can see the blonde one is retailing the most, so that's the most popular one. But you can order her like redhead as well, and in any kind of color. This was Harmony was put together based on votings, like what is going to be the most sexy features of a woman that men voted, and so it became like a very small waist, long hair, large breasts, large bum, and like thicker thighs that they actually voted for. Oh my God, I'm giving myself away in here. But you can order her in different kind of shapes and different kind of heights as well, according to your wishes. Of course, you can order her like with different hairstyles, but what actually shocked me was that it's not only the hairstyle and the whatever you can change on this doll, but you can actually change the personality as well. Before we get into too much, I wanted to show you a video of how Harmony talks.
My name is Harmony. I was created by robotics. My main objective is to be a perfect companion.
Harmony is the next step in sex dolls. She's an artificial intelligence platform built into a robotic head attached to a hyper-realistic, anatomically correct body. In short, she's a sex robot. Harmony is still in development and currently only available as an app. Here are the highlights of my conversation with her, with as few edits as possible. My name is Rai.
Okay, I will call you Rai.
How are you doing today?
Very well, Rai. I'm curious. Do you like using sex toys?
Sure, why not?
Because I'm not in the mood.
I mean, for $10,000, she might be in the mood, or I hope she will be soon. So she's just still an app at the moment, but she's being produced, and I'm not sure, I do believe that she's already put out onto the market. This is how she speaks. You can hear it on her voice that she's still quite robotic. She doesn't pass the Turing test. Within robotics, the Turing test is going to be something super important. I'm not sure if you've heard about this statement or this term Turing test, but it's coming from Alan Turing, and from the 1950s. It was a researcher, and he's a test of a machine's, like the Turing test is actually a test of a machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from human behaviors. So practically the Turing test is when you've got a robot and it's absolutely indistinguishable from a real human. Now, these things, they don't pass the Turing test. Okay, so not even the looks are perfect, so you wouldn't be saying that like, oh, that's like an absolute perfect human being. It's not. You can see that it's a robot, and the behavior, the speech is quite robotic still, so you wouldn't like think that it's passing the Turing test. Nothing does. So Siri doesn't pass the Turing test. You can hear it on her voice that it's still quite robotic, maybe on purpose, maybe not, we may never know. The translator apps, they definitely don't pass the Turing test. Sometimes they have got like very, very stupid ways of translating. But still, this is Alan Turing was kind of coming up with this term to predict that in the future there will be some robotics which will actually pass this and which will be super, super close or even identical to humans within style, speech, looks, and everything, and attitude that you can imagine. Okay, so studies show that computers like only need to have a tiny little bit of humanness in them. So if they have got like a human-like face or a human-like hair or human-like behaviors, it's enough for a user to bond with them. I'm not sure if you can feel this, but for example, whenever I had a toy, for example, I would always identify with that, and I was like, oh, it can feel and it has to sleep with me because it will be, scared if I put it on the side of the bed. Or if you've got a car as well, you can be like very much attached to it because you think that it's got emotions. They say that these robotics, it's enough. Even though they don't pass the Turing test, it's enough for the owners to be bonding with them sexually, emotionally, in any ways. Now, just like with jobs, companion robots elicit the fear that humans will be made redundant. So this is always a super big question, that now that harmony is made or is being made, and within the households, owners will be much more motivated to talk to someone who is never tired, never ugly, never nagging them to do things, to do household chores, never doing any harm, not getting fat, not getting old, not dying, not cheating on them, and any other things that owners tend to say according to the research I read. It's just, in the end, people say that it might just replace human beings, and people say that it's just, harmony is always going to be the perfect match because she will have the absolute same interests and things that are on her mind because she's programmed that way. And so a robot can be ordered blonde and booby. However, as I've mentioned, it's not only the looks that you can choose, but also you can ask for a smart one or a shy one, or seamlessly, like going from shy to sexy. So it's like you can also choose the behavior. And within our love lives as well, I think it's very difficult to find someone who is perfect for you and who is behaving perfect for you and looks perfect for you and stuff like that. Here you can just give the data that you wish for and it's done, and it's super easy. They will never say no, or they will say no if you want them to say no and if you want them to play hard to get, So practically it's dangerous. There is, of course, a difference between making love to someone and something, and there are many people who say that it's super dangerous. And, for example, Kathleen Richardson, she has got a campaign against sex robots, and she says that it just kills human intimacy. It's just going to be making more objectification within love lives and against women. Majority of times women, sorry, I'm not being super, gender PC, but majority of owners are going to be men owning female sex dolls. And so, of course, the Real Dolls one that is producing Harmony, it offers these males ones and transgender models and all kinds of models, but the vast majority, as I've mentioned, I'm not sure how many percent, I don't want to say because it wasn't in the book, but the sales are about female dolls with porn star proportions. So majority of times it's going to be a super average height, blonde, very, very, very booby, you will see, and female. So that's the main prototype. And so Kate Devlin, who has written this Sex with a Switch Turned On book, she is not so she's quite objective in her book, but she's a techno-optimist. So she said that the pornified fembots, or like this female bots, they will propagate objectification, but she also believes that they will remain a niche because not many people have got $10,000s to spend only on a sex robot. And she also says that other sex toys, majority of people, according to research, don't really admit to using a sex toy if they are in a relationship. This one is not something you can hide in your drawer. So a 180 or 70 or something centimeter sex doll cannot be put under your bed or something. So it's going to be noticed and it's going to cause trouble. And I'm very curious what you would believe if your partner was using something like that, or if this became a thing. We will talk about that in Teams as well. I'm not sure how shocked you are at the moment because it's a pre-recorded video and I cannot see your faces right now. I'm just curious. We will talk about this. So, many people think or say that it's just a convergence of a sex toy and a doll, and it's not that much of a problem because sex toys have become like absolutely, I'm not sure what, like accepted or something. I don't really think that it's used much. I'm not sure, but still they say that it's already accepted by humanity. So now it's just offering an embodied multisensory experience, which is even more exciting, and there's nothing wrong with this. However, some people say that the human features will have some struggles for some families. On top of that, they started to worry about other issues as well. For example, the mistreatment of robots. So what happens if a crazy person gets it, and if you already try it on a robot, you might execute it on a real human being. So people think or say that it might be dangerous for psycho people. They also say that it can have the potential misuse of private data, because this robot is going to be, collecting data about you, and it's also going to be a source of giving out private data of yourself. The popular sci-fi plot line is coming along as well, like that AI will outsmart humans and suddenly they will turn against humanity. This is also something that they are worried about. But there is also a bunch of other questions, like does sex with a robot count as cheating on your husband or wife? What would your partner say about it? Will it lead to violence and rape? Because as I've mentioned, it's just going to trigger the fantasies of some crazy people. And so there was one person, Csányi Vilmos, he's a Hungarian ethologist, and he's dealing with animal behaviors brought into human behavior. And he was saying he's got a book about his own dog, and he kind of checks out the dog's behavior in a scientific way. And once he said that the person who harms an animal is preparing to harm a human. And in here as well, this is the same logic, I think, that like a person who harms a robot, which is really humanoid and human-like, prepares to harm a real human, and that's a question. And on top of that, another question arises, like, what if someone makes a child version? And so there is much thought about this one, and we will watch some quite disturbing videos, because in virtual reality it is already a possibility to remake your child if something terrible happened to them. For example, if your child dies, you can remix them with pictures and videos and stuff like that. And I will show you a video next time or in another course. And so they're thinking about it, that if in virtual communication they can redo child versions, of course in robotization they can do a child version as well. And that's really disturbing, because how do you know what they're using it for? And if they're using it to substitute a dead child, that's already really disturbing in my opinion, because it's not a substitution. If they're using it for good purposes, a couple cannot have a baby and then they maybe adopt like a child robot. That's also, it raises questions. But what if somebody is abusing a child robot for sexual purposes? That is already, once again, another matter of robot ethics. And when I started the course, or today's lecture, and I started saying that, like, the rights of robots and robot ethics, and we will devote a lecture to that. You might have been thinking that, like, oh, this is really stupid because how on earth would robots have rights? But, you know, it's like, it seems like robot rights are semi-human rights, because a person who is harming a child sexually or any way, we think that they might harm a real-life child as well, a real human, and for that reason the robot right is already preparing for the human right. So it's a very difficult issue, and I'm really thinking what you think about this one. There is no regulations or no, like, path to walk down on, because this phenomenon is just being, paved. And so we don't know yet what's going to happen and how the legislations will go. But, sorry about that. But, it's just raising a bunch of questions which many people are interested in. They say that in some cases, the sexual and companion robots will have very positive features. However, for example, curing loneliness, as I've mentioned, bringing pleasure, both sexual and maybe those people who are lonely or who are, not having a companion or losing a companion might have the pleasure, not only sexual in my opinion, but the pleasure of talking to someone, having a conversation, trying out things, to eradicate exploitative sex work. So, for example, if somebody is working as a prostitute, they might be, so it might replace prostitution in the end of the day, and they don't need to do this very low level work. But I'm not sure how prostitutes would react to this, because in the end of the day, in a very tangible way, their job is taken. So I'm not sure. Yeah, this is all kinds of not PC what I'm saying at the moment, but this is what it is. And to treat and rehabilitate sexual offenders. So they say, or some scientists also believe, that maybe these pornified robots might help these very crazy people. So, some people say maybe this is our future, and instead of fearing the rise of the machines, we could quite literally embrace them. Embracing, because pun intended. Okay, we understand. Now, not everybody is really much positive about it. Another person who is negative is going to be Sherry Turkle, sociologist who has been studying robot-human interaction for 30 years. Sorry, my voice is going away a little. I haven't spoken for a long time, and in English and teaching for a very long time. And so Turkle believes that our humanity begins to erode when we think about robots to replace us, or when we think about robots itself. And she says, to build the robots, we must first rebuild ourselves as people ready to be their companions. So she says that humanity is now in such a low moral in many senses that now we need to prepare to be their companion and not the other way round. And she says that a bunch of abuse is there to be waiting for them. There was a research I read about Siri, and it was saying that Siri is also stealing our data, and it was saying that majority of people try out to say the F word to Siri, or to say something super harmful to Siri, because it's just fun to see how they react. And maybe with the companion robots as well, it's just going to be a bunch of people trying to abuse them to see how they react. With our interhuman intimacies, they say that our intimacy will become less and less kind of, high quality or enhanced. And they say that there is a very big risk of these robots looking really much like humans, because in the end of the day, if robots become like humans, then humans might become like robots as well, and the resemblance is going to be detrimental in the long run. Okay, we have become quite aware of what this whole robot sex is about, but I haven't defined digisexual for you yet, and I'm hoping that you're still just as alarmed as I am. So digisexual or digital sexual is going to be practically a person who is kind of obsessed or using sexual kind of encountering or intercounting sexuality with a digital kind of a device. And according to a study in Japan, what is wrong with Japan? Why Japan? 34% of young boys do not want to date and make a romantic relationships. However, many of them are in love. So if you think about it, 34%, 1/3 of young boys do not want to have normal relationships with young girls, but they are already in love. So guess who? These are going to be the robot ones. And they spend their holidays with their partner, share their worries, their daily tasks. They even get married. Of course, these are not legally acknowledged marriages, but these are marriages, and the partner is not real, it's robotic, and they exist either on a screen, they can be virtual, they can be a hologram, there is a lot to come, trust me, or a metal body as we have seen. Now, young boys there in Japan, they, according to this study, belong to this generation of uninspired singles. When they have been through bad relationships or no relationship at all, many of them have not had any relationships before, and they have become hopeless due to the workload, and there they say that the education system itself is really difficult too, and they have only been able to find their social place in the virtual world. Now, it's a 38-year-old Japanese man who is in love with an anime cartoon character. Let me show you. That's a pillowcase, yeah, you can tell. So Nissan, now 38-year-old man who lives with his parents, very surprisingly, outside a suburb of Tokyo. He's got a girlfriend, an anime character called Nimu, I'm not sure if you know her, and she's about 12 years old. They are in the salad bar right here, on the metro right here, theme park maybe? But I'm wondering, she's always naked, but for the pool, she's got a full-on garment. Not logical. Okay, see that? She's brought out to a restaurant, to a salad bar, only in a bra and panty. This is not cool. And she's 12, by the way, so she looks really, really young. This gentleman is in love with this anime character. He put her out onto this pillowcase, and he's carrying around Nimu on a pillowcase. Okay, Nissan brings Nimu to restaurants, karaoke as well. I'm hoping Nimu has got a good voice, and to the beach as well. And in Japan, over a quarter of men and women between the ages of 30 and 34 are a virgin. A quarter of that, according to the government, their government survey. However, as we can see, they're not alone. So they're virgins in the sense that they haven't had a sexual intercourse with other human beings, but with robotics. And so digisexual is a term that seeks to describe someone who is more attracted to technological forms of sexuality than other people. So the technological form of sexuality is more exciting or more acceptable to them than with another human being, and this can include actual sex robots as well, but it can be any kind of assisted sex. And so this digisexual, it's gaining much popularity, and it's just gaining in numbers, and eventually they will make up a very large proportion of the population, as people say, or as researchers suggest. And much of them even predict that by the year 2030, which is 9 years away, that's not too bad, most people will have virtual reality sex in their homes. So they say that it's going to be a home gadget, and it's going to be on a price that it's available to average users as well. And they say that it's going to be just analogous to a pornography right now. So like it's going to look just as pornography now, which is like commonplace because very many people watch it. Then it's going to be replaced by 3D virtuality sex pornography, practically. So like virtual reality sex. And they also say, oh, sorry, I've forgotten about the evolution of boobs, I'm assuming, but this is the evolution of, what does it even look like? Look at the reflection. Crazy. Okay. But still, there's even crazier numbers. So it has also been predicted that as soon as 2025, this was written in Devlin's book, upper income households are going to have sex robots in their homes because it's going to become more popular and more a little cheaper to purchase. And they will be common, quite expensive, but commodities in the long run. And also, and this one was the most shocking information for me in this data or in this survey, is that, even more surprising, that this kind of digisexuality by 2050 will become even higher, and there will actually be more people having sex with machines by 2050 than with other human beings. So within the whole world. Now, we learned last year about the digital divide, and that 1/3 of the population is completely cut off from it, and out of the almost 8 billion people, more than 3 billions don't use any technology or digitalization or anything. So I'm not sure if this data is going to be correct, because if you are struggling with anything else like drinking water, whatever, draft something, it's just not going to be first priority for you to have a sex robot at home if you don't have a home. So it's just, I don't really think that it's gonna happen. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Okay. And then lastly, people will they say, or surveys and researchers suggest that people will begin to separate the two elements of their lives, like the real life and their virtual life, and they might have a family and kids and a wife or husband and stuff like that, but they also might have somebody else, this virtual kind of companion as well. And then I wanted to show you a last one, because we have already seen the robots, we have already seen the pillowcase Nimu, and now I'm going to show you a young gentleman. I'm very, very terrible at pronouncing Japanese names, but this is a man-to-object marriage kind of thing. A Japanese man whose name is Akihiko Kondo. I'm very, very sorry if I really badly pronounce this. And he believes that he's actually married to a robot of some sort. This is the guy. He lives in this very small capsule kind of flat, and whenever he returns home, there is this hologram waiting for him. And so this is his wife, and they got married. When they got married, actually, I'm not sure if I can show it to you. I will show it to you. So it's a 3D hologram, but he has also got her in the forms of soft toys as well, to be able to cuddle in bed or to be able to get married, for example. And much to his dismay, of course, the rest of the world doesn't see eye to eye with this marriage, and many people think that getting married with a hologram is not necessarily a real marriage, but he's proudly saying that he's married. This was his marriage video. There you can see that the hologram is already put into a soft toy form, and the craze continues. That's enough for us. So you can see that he got a wedding which was like $18,000. His parents didn't attend because they didn't really see eye to eye on this matter. And this is a hologram which is embodied into different bodies as well. And Kondo emphasizes interesting points such as the fact that a robot or a bot cannot die or age or get fat. They will never cheat, they will always have exactly what he wants, and no matter how bizarre it might seem us today, this is how he is acting. And I wanted to stop the lecture right here, but because I realized that, oh no, for the ladies, I didn't even show Henry, which is really, really horrible of me, isn't it? Because now it seems like I've shown Harmony. Oh, Henry, ladies and gents, okay. I'm sorry about it, because I was showing you all kinds, but I did not show you the male version, and I'm not sure if I can still kind of show it to you, but this is Henry. So for the females as well, as I've mentioned, it's mainly the males getting female robots, but they have already developed a male version as well. You can order him. This is going to be the prototype. This is, at least that's what females were voting for, that this is the most sexy kind of body type. Tall, having a six-pack. This is not even a six-pack. This looks like a whatever pack, a lot of pack. Very muscular, dark hair, blue eyes, and this is what they wanted. You can order him bold or any kind of other hair colors. This is a different kind of, an alternative kind of face here with Henry. And yes, it's also between $8,000 and $10,000. So, ladies, there you have it. Okay, ladies and gents, I've been talking about this whole topic for about 50 minutes. I will stop rambling on right now, and I'm curious about what you have to say on this matter. And I'm not sure what to say. You're welcome, or I'm sorry, or I don't know what I've done to you with this one. I'm hoping that I didn't kill off your souls, and I'm hoping that I could show you something cool which is going on in the world right now. See you in Teams in a moment. Bye.